Hey guys, so today we're going to be reading some nonfiction books and looking at different text features that we see in that. So you see me on Epic today. I'm going to be reading about tornadoes and hurricanes. I thought that that was appropriate because it is almost hurricane season. Um, so we can learn a little bit about it today. So here we are on our title page. You see that in all books, but in a nonfiction book, a lot of times it will be coupled with a photograph rather than a drawing. In this book, we'll also see that, sometimes they have drawings too, to go along with photographs, but we'll see that as we go. So the great thing about nonfiction books is that it starts with a table of contents, and that is helpful because a nonfiction book isn't like a fiction book where I have to read it from beginning to end. I can pick out what is interesting to me. So in the table of contents, it'll tell me all of the topics that I can read about. These are going to be all the headers on the different pages that I can flip to. So if I wanted to read about wind power, I could go to page 3, tornadoes, page 6, how tornadoes happen, page 8, hurricanes 12, how hurricanes happen, page 14, here comes the sun, page 18, or the glossary that will always be in the back of a nonfiction book. I can flip straight to page 20. So I told you today that I thought that this would be a good book to read about because I want to be able to read about hurricanes. So instead of reading all this stuff about tornadoes, I can just flip straight to page 12. If I don't want to read the entire book, I can just focus on hurricanes by flipping to page 12. So I'm just going to go straight on to page 12 where I can focus and read about hurricanes. I see this text feature at the very top. This is a header, so I can read my header, hurricanes, and know that I'm on the right page. And then here I also see a bunch of other text features. I see this photograph here. I see this, which is a map, and it's kind of focusing in where I can see different hurricanes or where they start. And then we have these different fact boxes, um, giving me more information about what I'm reading. So I also see, here, bold words. Bold words are focusing on some important things in my text, and I can always see the definition of those words by flipping to the very end and looking in the glossary. It's kind of like a mini dictionary, and I can see that word in my glossary at the end. So let's read this page. A hurricane is a powerful storm that begins in ocean tropics. The word hurricane comes from the name for the Caribbean god of evil, Hurricane. That gives you some idea of a hurricane's terrible power. And then we can read these fact boxes. What is it? The tropics are warm areas close to the Earth's equator, which is why they have this map here showing you where the equator is so that you can really understand where hurricanes start. Did you know not all hurricanes are called hurricanes? Hurricanes that form over the Pacific Ocean are called typhoons. And there you can see another bold word, which means that I can find it where? Yeah, in the glossary. How hurricanes happen. So again, I see my header, and then I also have these fact boxes, photographs, and my text. If a hurricane is going to form, it needs warm water, moist air, and strong winds that come together from different directions. A hurricane forms in 3 steps. First, swirling clouds, rain, and wind meet. Next, the wind moves faster to become a tropical storm. Last, the wind speeds up to 74 miles per hour or more. Now you have a hurricane. And then we have these fact boxes. This is more like a caption actually because it's telling me about the pictures. Most hurricanes start off of the west coast of Africa. When a tropical storm is formed, it is usually given a name like Tropical Storm Katie. When it becomes a hurricane, it keeps its name. And then this is my favorite kind of text feature. It's more like a diagram. So it's really showing me all the details of how a hurricane is formed. So I can see step by step with all of these pictures how a hurricane is formed given these labels. So I can see that there has to be counterclockwise winds, there's a storm surge coming this way, rain bands, the eye wall, the eye of the hurricane, descending cold air, and rising warm air. So it's really giving me a detailed description of how it happens using this drawing called a diagram where all these different parts are labeled. Each hurricane has three parts. Its eye is the calm center. Fast winds around the eye make the eye wall. Finally, rain bands move outward from the eye. They help to keep the storm alive. And then we also see these. Hopefully you remember that is a bold word. So we have eye wall, and rain bands that we will be able to find later in the glossary. You see another text feature here, the header, here comes the sun. Hurricanes and tornadoes may be powerful, but no matter how strong they are, they must end sometime. The sun will always come out again. And then, like we said before, the glossary will always be in the back of my book in a nonfiction book, and it lists all those bold words and it gives me their definition just like a mini dictionary. So it will be in alphabetical order. You can see it goes from A to Z, or W because that's my last word in the alphabet. And it gives me the definition of those. So like earlier, we saw tropics, and that is an area of land or water near the Earth's equator. So I can learn what tropics is by just flipping here to the back. So hopefully that was helpful. That's the end of our story. There are tons of nonfiction books in Epic, so if you want to be able to go there, or in Mayan, you can pull up a book and try and search for some of these text features. Oh, and I also meant to show you in the beginning of this book, before we got to the hurricane part, if I wanted to flip with tornadoes, we also see that there are sometimes drawings. So it's not always going to be a photograph. Sometimes there are drawings in nonfiction books that help me understand. So a lot of times people will tell me that they see a drawing, so that's how they know it's a fiction book. Well, fiction is going to be a story, not tell facts. This book told facts, and this drawing is helping support the facts in that story. So sometimes we'll see a photograph, but also we'll see drawings that help describe the facts that are in that story or in that text. So hopefully that helps. If you have any questions or need help, just ask.